Ladies and gentlemen. Ah, there is everybody. I see the whole picture. Hi, everybody at home. Wave. Oh, gosh, this looks nice. Yes, they're all waving. We're all connected, and we're 78 already. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us in a hybrid event. Whoever thought, when 2020 was starting, that we would be so glad to be in one room with how many people are we here? I mean, could the cameraman just slowly show how many people we have here? And guys, there is the camera. This is home. Wave at the people at home. Wave at them. And by the way, wave back. Wave back. I mean, it looks funny. It feels funny, but we are connected. And we are here at our annual meeting 2020. And we should have been in Amsterdam. That will be said more and more. But hey, without further ado, Peter, I hope you're ready. Kalispera, Kalimera.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Peter. And hey, the opening words are for you.
Thank you so much.
Peter Theoridis.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. And Kalimera for those that are just waking up. Kalispera for those that are enjoying a beautiful afternoon like in Athens with 32 degrees. And Kalinikta for those watching us and having a view to the moon from home. Perhaps destiny wished me to address all of you 2 years in a row from my hometown city of Athens. Although honestly speaking, I would have rather preferred to be with all of you in person and to be able to experience a traditional AGM as we have done so many years. Needless to say, welcome, and I'm glad to see so many familiar faces, safe and with a smile, and hope that the next few hours we all become wiser and continue to have the positive vibes that I'm sensing. Even though 2019 proved to be one of the most rewarding years in the history of IFES, the new decade brought us a new enigma on how our industry will work the years to come. It has been 4 stressful months most of us have lived through. However, today, the book of IFES will write a new chapter in how our AGM will be carried out and read in the future. With 40 plus attendees live in Hanover and the rest of us viewing and experiencing this event from our respective countries all over the world, IFES is here, strong and energetic to prove to the world and our community that we continue to stand out in every aspect. My personal gratitude, along with that of the board and the management office, goes out to our distinguished guests and speakers, Kai Hattendorf, Managing Director and CEO of UFI, Barbara Weizsäcker, General Secretary of EMECA, Dr. Andreas Gruchow, Member of the Board of Deutsche Messe, Jörn Holtmeier, CEO of AUMA, and Nils Passoter, International Trade Show Manager at Weidmuller. Thank you all for joining us today and being part of making the 2020 IFES AGM a truly commendable one. To our sponsors, Holtmann, ICT, and Deutsche Wettbild, thank you and entrusting us and everything you have contributed for this event. And to our sponsors, Duo, JMT, and Volkdamt, a big thank you, and I truly appreciate everything you have done for us in this event. Of course, a very special thank you, and no words or applause are enough, to our very own Uta Goretsky and her fantastic team of Danny and Alina for devoting endless hours, days, and weeks in preparing, coordinating, and ensuring that today's AGM will be an unmatched one. Thank you all, Uta, from your IFES family. Fellow IFES members, I will not go through all the achievements which altogether we accomplished in 2019 and were meant to go beyond our very own expectations in 2020, as these will be shared with you by my fellow colleagues in the next few hours. However, I would like to emphasize at this point that I am pleased to announce that we are slowly returning to the passion and especially the admiration we all believe and love so much, the love for exhibitions. Today, I am proud and fulfilled that the past few months have made us more capable and unified as an association. From the first day this pandemic began, I asked from all of you, your willingness and eagerness to work together and to be able to become one fist. Your acknowledgement was such that most of you took part in the activities we organized, stayed tuned in the news we shared with you either through social media or a newsletter, but most importantly, you kept us inspired to continue working on this. Through this inspiration, which began last year, we were able to prevail. We have prevailed because you believed we could. And furthermore, you trusted us to prove that altogether we can come back stronger than ever before. We have prevailed because today all of us are gathered here to listen and understand what and how the future will become better and safer within our industry. To conclude, thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and I promise you that these next few months and the years to come, I will remain along with the board and our upcoming president and good friend, Justin Haas, as well as the management office, to continue working with the same devotion and desire to keep this association on the highest possible level within our industry. And with these last words, I am now officially opening the 2020 IFES AGM and give my screen back to my good friend and member of the 2021 IFES World Summit Organizing Committee, Mr. Han Liha.
Thank you very much, Peter. What a speaker that is. I said I would do that. Hi, Peter. Job well done. And he's smiling. That is so nice. We finally opened, and we have 5 magnificent guests on the stage. And I'm going to ask them each a few questions just to introduce them. And my first question will be, state your name. How are you connected to the industry? And just to get to know you on a personal level, if all this COVID is behind us, and you put on a song, which song represents your good feeling of like freedom again? For me personally, I'm an 80s DJ. I would say, and I don't know if you know the number, Can You Feel a Brand New Day? From the musical. No, I don't see any faces. No, I'm too old. Can't you feel a brand new day? No, no one. Okay. Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, no one. Niels, you're first.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So who are you?
Yeah, thinking about a song.
They're all thinking about the song.
Yeah. Hard job. That was. Yeah.
Let me just start who you are, how you're connected to the industry.
My name is Nils Passoter.
Yeah.
I work for the Weizsäcker Group as head of international affairs and events. And my training years back in the last 20 years started at Bruno Meissner. So this is my strongest connection to the booth building brand. And on the other hand, of course, I'm responsible for a lot of fairs each year. So I'm connected to that.
Well, I understood you were a big fan of trade shows. I mean, you're the only real customer here in the house. I mean,
that's not very good to say this year, but normally we say we are infected with the fair virus.
It is good to say this year, because this is what we need, and this is why I started and not with the lady, because yes, ladies first, but customers who are willing to go to trade, do we want them, yes or no? Yes. Oh, by the way, one rule, no screaming. No screaming, you know. The music, music?
I don't know.
No music?
Of course, yeah, but Highway to Hell doesn't fit to the time afterwards.
From ICDC. I'm on the okay, all right.
That fits to this time, but not afterwards.
We're okay. Sir, no, the ladies first. Wow.
Okay. So my connection, I'm Barbara Weizsäcker. I run EMICA, the European Major Exhibitions Centers Association, the big venues in Europe, and we share, together with all the other members of IFES, the joint representation towards the European Union institutions in the Brussels office. My connection to the industry goes back when I was really young. From childhood onwards, my father worked in the book industry, and he went to Frankfurt every year. And that was the highlight of the year. When I was old enough, I went to Frankfurt with him every year. So I got trade fairs since very young, and that also inspired my journey. Starting also in the book industry, going to Brussels, to the Booksellers Federation, coming to Messe Frankfurt, going back to Brussels for the whole industry. So that's my story. And of course, connected to EU and our joint market, even beyond global market, I would choose the European hymn, Ode an die Freude.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sir, you're next.
Yes, my name is Andreas Gruchow. I'm a member of the managing board of Deutsche Messe. Actually, we are two. But I'm very long with this industry. I moved once to Hanover, down from Kiel, from the Baltic Sea, to study mechanical engineering, and I did my doctor diploma in mechanical engineering, and I never thought about working in our industry, exhibition industry. I guess that's for the most of us. But I started my career in Deutsche Messe at the beginning of 1994 as the director of the Expo 2000, the World Exposition. As a project manager for the biggest ever project, I guess, which we, let's say, faced in Hanover and also as Deutsche Messe. And after 6 years after the Expo 2000, I became the senior vice president of the international exhibitions, because during these 6 years before, I learned how fascinating it is to work for exhibitions. And that was my target since then. And in the year 2008, I became member of the managing board, and especially focusing towards our global business, which we accelerated a lot since then. We have 10 subsidiaries all over the world. And being in that role, I was, I think, like 12 years very active in EMICA. So we have a long history. Barbara and me, I was once also the president of EMICA, as well as Kai. I have a long history in IFE, very active in the IFE network as well, also once being president of IFE, and also with Jörn in AUMA, which was very helpful, the AUMA organization, for setting up measures for restarting exhibition business after Corona or during Corona. Yeah, and about the song, when you asked, what immediately popped up into mind, even when you mentioned the question, was, I don't know why, Satisfaction.
From the Rolling Stones.
Because, yes, because I like rock music, and I think what we are doing with exhibitions is about satisfaction. We'd like to satisfy our customers, and for me it is the utmost satisfaction if the customers are happy. So satisfaction is a good headline for almost everything what we are doing.
So the hymn, Highway to Hell, Satisfaction. We'll see what comes next. Jörn.
Yeah, I'm Jörn Holtmeier, the managing director of Aumar. Actually, I started January this year in the industry, so it's
good timing, good timing.
Yeah, very good timing. So I was in the automotive industry before, which was also a very tough time. But officially, actually, I'm new to this industry. But over the last 10 years, I always spent 2 weeks in September, either in Hanover or in Frankfurt, because I used to work for the IAA commercial vehicles or passenger cars. And this is actually also my relationship with the industry, because during these 2 weeks, this was always a great experience for me, because you have your customers, you have a lot of people who are really engaged with products and services, and there is this spirit what I've really enjoyed. And so when there was this opportunity to go to the real industry, I decided to go for. Of course, maybe better timing, but I mean, if it comes to the song I really like, It's a Beautiful Day of U2. Yeah, and before I joined Alma in January, I had the once in my lifetime chance to attend a open air concert of U2 in New Zealand, and Bono said, you know, it's a beautiful day because you are alive. And so I say, you know, if you're alive, it's a beautiful day, so let's go on.
Great choice, great choice. Kai, can you top that?
Never top your members. I'm here to serve them. My name is Kai Hattendorf. I'm the managing director of IFE. The first trade show event in my life that had a relevance was me crashing my dad's car parking at the Internationale Funkausstellung in Berlin in the late 80s. My first time at Messe Frankfurt, I was there as a Greenpeace activist with a huge inflatable whale. Japan was the partner country, and both Berlin and Frankfurt let me in again years later. And now they even let me represent them. Now, it's a wonderful industry to be in. Obviously, working with EMICA, with everyone here, and very good working relationship between IFE and IFES. The song choice right now is pretty much Obla-di, Obla-da, life goes on. And on the other side of this, it's definitely time for a huge stadium anthem, and having a family that is totally listening to Queen all the time right now and watching that Wembley gig over and over again. It must be We Will Rock You, because this is what we as an industry will have to do to get the energy back into our customers, to have them come back and then show them the power of face-to-face over, sorry everyone watching, over screen to screen.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that power, and we hope and we aim for interaction. And I have to look over there because there is the audience. When you have questions at home, ask them through the chat. Here is Uta, and through Uta, they will come to me. And by the way, in the room here, live, I mean, you are obliged, everyone, at least to one question. I mean, you came here, this is your first event in 3 months, so at least I want some questions ongoing. You just wave with your hand, I'll come to you. Yeah, you whisper it, well, not in my ear, but at 1.5 meters, I will repeat it. So that is the procedure. Now we asked, our members have no slides, but they only have good stories. And both Barbara and Kai were asked to elaborate a little bit more on, well, the last months and what is their perspective. Could I start with you, Barbara?
Of course.
Yes? Just what happened with you, well, just take us along, and not too long in the negative, and then please into the future.
Absolutely. Okay, so you might remember for the 17th of March, we had planned the big event in Brussels for the members of UFI and MECA, including many, many IFES members were supposed to come to Brussels to have a large program hosted in the European Parliament. And everything was prepared more or less. Then we started having speakers canceling. First asking for digital coming into the format, and then they started canceling, saying the institutions wouldn't allow them anymore, especially the Commission. The Parliament closed down. We even rented a room in the hotel. So you can imagine, like all the other events, we were hit like our whole industry. And that was a pity, obviously, because everything had been prepared, and there are so many topics now. Everything is under the Corona roof. We should, as you said, later on, go back to all the topics for the future. All these policy issues don't go away. What we did, indeed, I think it was after all the first kickstart of the Zoom mania and the meetings online, we put part of the program that was dedicated to COVID on the digital format, and we had the speakers we would have had at the event there. So that was our start, and it was also a kickstart of all the lobbying activities, obviously. Within the associations, everyone, first of all, collected how the shutdown went. Then we went on to check what is the damage, what are the losses, to ring the emergency bells, to ask for aids and for loans and for tax and whatever else, all the measures that could help all companies to survive. Obviously, we went then on all this on European level. Obviously, it's echoed on national level then. Always consulting with the other organizations and our industry, putting the whole ecosystem together. So that is the big point, as you already mentioned. We all stood together to collect a maximum of information, to communicate from left to right and back and forth to policymakers and back into the industry, to keep us all up to date. Then aids were coming in. We were hoping to give you the right information. Then we started getting more active and proposing how we can get out of that. So also the EU went or defined 3 phases. First was, of course, the emergency, how to help, I mean, on the health level, obviously, but then also to companies. They put all the rests of budgets together and spread them out to the member states to give the short-term work scheme reliefs, etc. So here we also did a lot of lobbying. In the end, the money is distributed on a member states level. But then the next phase was already being worked on, is the exit phase, in which we are in now, while the EU is now already working on the recovery phase. So we need to be ahead, and this is also what we want to do, to always be ahead. Also with the topics on our shows, we're always ahead, years ahead, what later people can buy in the shops or on the market. So that's how we are thinking anyways, and this is why we are trying to already anticipate also the topics that will be coming. I think we can benefit from all the transition that will be there. There will be money there that will be also earmarked for our industry. I'm working hard to be in touch with the Commission, with parliamentarians, also with the Council. We were lucky to have people from the Croatian EU presidency listening to us. We're very much looking forward to the German presidency in the second half of the year, because Germany is the biggest market and the strongest exhibition market in Europe. To work on the lifting of the travel restrictions. That's a very important topic for us. But then going further, everything will be under the big topics, Green Deal and digitization. And I think not only our industry has made lots of huge steps in the meantime, we were forced to do that, like the schools and everyone else, but we can benefit and we can push the transition that all industries have to go through. To get quicker to these climate goals, adopting all the new legislation, having innovations products shown. So I think not only can we play a role for the economic recovery in general, but for especially pushing all these new topics. And we need to adapt. All the industries have to adapt. So there might even be, if we do it right, a huge chance to attract more business. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, at the Jela talk, UNIMEF colleagues were talking about there will be an explosion of shows to new topics. Perhaps not immediately, but I think on the mid-term, if we do it right, we can have a very bright future. And this is what we try to support on the political level. To give you the right information, to do the right and offer the right things at the right time to all the clients that do the transition with us.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the audience? Yeah, this is your moment. Come on, guys. Hey, we're the industry. I'm just walking in. Anyone a remark? Because I've got a question. I'm from the Netherlands. And talking about politics and influence on politics. And in the Netherlands, I can speak for the Netherlands. There's a friend from the... Who else from the Netherlands? Raise your hands. We're only with 3 of us. Okay. Whoa. 4. And we had a big problem because we wanted to influence the government. And there was not one voice from the industry. What is your opinion on that? I mean, because we wanted to try to influence them, say, okay, please open up. Oh, yesterday we had the green light, but just in the months leading up to that, what is your advice in trying to influence, in this time, national governments to get things done?
Well, national governments, we all know, are a little bit more difficult than the EU at the moment. This is why on our level, EU, we try to go forward with concepts, with proactively suggesting how can we do things safe, secure, healthy, etc. Then, of course, those who have the local responsibility, they are prudent. That's clear. So what needs to be done is what we have to do with all the clients, to create confidence and try to team up, and not wanting something, offering something is probably the key. Anyways, the basis is the understanding that B2B is different from other mass events. We want them too, the concerts and everything, but they will probably come later, because we cannot run any risk either. Because if we have one event where something goes wrong, really wrong, it will kill us, our reputation, because, I mean, the reputation risk that we have is so high. We need to be prudent. And of course, the local politicians will have responsibility. So lobbying on national level is much more difficult than on EU level or whatever overarching other meta levels at the moment, that's for sure. But I think if you change your perspective and they try to understand a little bit ours, I think being against or pressing too much is not a good idea. Offering our expertise.
Do I hear a little warning also? Like, be prudent? I mean,
well,
watch out when you organize. I mean,
it's not really a warning. We are professionals, but
warning is not bad. I mean,
we need to be aware of the risks and what it entails to us. Because shutting down again, that would kill us really. We cannot now. The opening up is happening, and we need to be carefully using it. Yeah. This is like with this event. It's a small. We test everything. Then you can scale up.
Yeah, true. Better remark.
Yeah. As an organizer or a venue, because we are both Deutsche Messe here in Hanover, I think the lobbying has been so far really essential and the core reason to get back on track. to be allowed to do exhibitions. Because what is the situation in Germany, in Hanover, but also in other places in Europe? It's down to the local authorities here in Hanover region, because when we'd like to do an exhibition or one of our guest organizers, we have to ask for allowance. And here the local authorities, they are the ones who have to allow this, the right to do so, to decide upon. We adjusted commonly with the local authorities a list of measures we are going to undertake if we are going to start exhibitions. And we have to ask for allowance for each and individual exhibition. But how could it be that we are now in this stage? First of all, I would like to point towards the AUMA, to Jörn. It was extremely important to lobby on a national level in Germany, and the same attempt has been done in Europe on EMICA or IFE worldwide. But I would like to point out to Jörn, he was extremely successful in lobbying towards the federal politicians that exhibitions have nothing to do with sport events, rock concerts, Oktoberfest, or however you call it. Because being on exhibitions is way more like going to a supermarket or being in a do-it-yourself shop. So it's manageable. It's technically feasible to deal with people on a venue. I wouldn't go into all the details. That was very important to have this difference. That was maybe half of the success story so far. Next level was also by lobbying to put it down onto the local authorities and then to set up this list of measures. And we collected in working groups list of measures on the European level in EMICA. In IFE we had a working group collecting measures on a worldwide level. AUMA collected and coordinated. For example, the very crucial criteria is how many square meters per person. And AUMA recommended, as a collection of the different opinions of venues and organizers, 4 square meters per person. So for us, it was important to have such a list of measures individually, each venue, each organizer, to have a list and to recommend this list, because we set up this list on a European level of experience, on a worldwide level or collection of ideas, and by recommendation of the German relevant association. So without these activities of lobbying, we would have never been so close to reopening exhibitions as we are right now as Deutsche Messe Hanover or in many other places in Germany or Europe. It's the essence. Without, we wouldn't have been where we are right now.
Thank you. I would say, Uta, are there any questions? But Uta disappeared. That's just interesting. Well, then we just go on to Kai. Just a little bit on what happened and into the future.
Oh, well, I was in China in January, and my team called me from Hong Kong and said, wear a mask when you change the plane in Beijing. And I said, why? And they said, there's this new virus, and it's becoming an issue. And there was the annual meeting of CEFCO, which is a Chinese government institution that IFE is supporting together with a few other international associations. And it wasn't on the agenda, it wasn't an issue. But 2 weeks later, suddenly China went into lockdown. Had I been there 1 week later, I would have found myself in quarantine or whatever. Early February, we had our one physical meeting we did so far this year, our Global CEO Summit in Rome. And there were cases further up in the north. And again, 1 week later, Rome went into lockdown. I stopped traveling then because I felt it's too much of a bad omen if we do anything anywhere, if everything locks down a week after we've been there. So this virus spread, and what we got from the organizers was a lot of lack of information, first of all. So we were focusing on getting facts, data, establish a link to the WHO initially to share their guidance with the organizers, with the venues. So, for instance, when we all met at Euroshop earlier this year, all the signage there was based on a lot of these information work that had happened from the IFE side, from the AUMA side, and a lot of legacy work from the old SARS years, because we all kept those things on file, luckily. After the this information phase, there was a big need to make the general public aware that we as an industry were shut down first. So a lot of media work was done with a lot of data generated for that. That was when all the economic damage assessments were made, and we were trying to explain the critical role of the sector. And sadly enough, we've had the best ever advocacy campaign for our industry this year. Never before have we been in the Tagesschau and the Heute Journal with something like the Night of Light last week. Never before have we as an industry been able to be this visible. But it's the moment when we fight for our survival. So a lot of information, a lot of bandwidth was given to making us visible. And right now it's a lot about getting back this license to operate, sharing best practices, because as Andreas already explained, from the global level or from the European level or from the Asian level, you can come up with best practices and frameworks and guidances, which is what we've done. But then it's up to the local level to implement them. But of course we go around the world and say, look at Germany, where Messen are not Massenveranstaltungen, yeah? And then separate them. To the point where now even the WHO in its guidance for mass gatherings actually makes a differentiation between organized mass gatherings and spontaneous mass gatherings. And actually, being the health organization, attaches a positive health value to events, saying they are good spiritually for the religious events, they are good physically. So it seems that attending a sports event is good for your body rather than doing sports yourself, but all fine. Whoever got that in there was successful. And that obviously a lot of jobs depend on it, and your individual health also depends on your physical well-being and having a job. So all this is in the guidance from the WHO now, after 3-4 months of intense lobbying and PR work from many, many players in the industry around the world. So we have a foundation to build on going forward. Getting that license to operate back, and then getting the programs in place that convince our dear customers that we can run the meeting places and the marketplaces of the world in a safe and responsible manner. We have the advocacy ongoing that we need financial support to get through the crisis. We need that financial support to get through this phase where there's basically zero revenue coming in. And credit lines are fine, but we need subsidies. We need financial support, and we need it now so we can come back and support and serve the industry. When, and that's the second part of the advocacy work, we have these licenses to operate back and have the terms agreed with the local players, because the local authorities, as you already said, Andreas, will call the shots. Okay. So where are we going from here? We are tracking reopenings around the world, and I think the news from the Netherlands last night was country number 61 or 62 on our list, that is reopening. China is open, except for Beijing also shows us how they deal with local outbreaks. Germany will open, or it technically is open in some states, in North Rhine-Westphalia, and will open in many others. Many other countries are following. Everybody is adding a condition to it, and that is unless we have the second wave. And that's everyone's responsibility looking forward, to do our own homework. So back in February, we were telling everybody, wash your hand, and it's still wash your hands. It's wash your hands, maintain distance. Everyone do their job to stop the spread of COVID-19 so we can get back to business.
Thank you, Kai. What a man. I mean, we had a productivity hack here. We all saw that here. By the way, just to ensure you, no one in the field saw it. We only saw it. Awkward, this happens, open stuff. I think we have Zoom. This is probably the reason why Zoom is sometimes not allowed. You didn't see it there, but it was quite funny. And I must say, a big applause for the whole podium sitting there with their faces. We saw some things you don't want to see at a venue like this and at a moment like this. Hey, and this happens. I know, well, we just continue. Thank you very much, Kai. Thank you, yeah. Big round of applause. Anyone, do we have questions from the audience? When, the big question is, when do trade shows start again, at least in Germany? And that's, to be honest, we do look at Germany. The world looks at Germany as the mess, they originated there. So please, reveal us. I mean, you all know.
Yeah.
When is your first exhibition?
I really hope that we can participate in the eMove electromobility fair in Munich, middle of October.
Middle of October. And you're going? If it's
would-
open,
if
you're
it's
going.
open,
Well, that's good.
we will be
Who would
there.
like to respond on that? Big applause. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So,
Jörn.
so actually, the first one I know is beginning of July in Essen. It's a European Bridal Week. So if you want to get married this summer and you need some clothes or dresses, you should go there and pick one.
The Bridal Week in July. Okay, applause for that, yeah.
And then I would say it's the next bigger one is actually the Caravan Salon in Düsseldorf, beginning of September.
Okay.
There's a trend because the first show in Hong Kong was also a brideswear show.
Yes, that's true.
May 22nd. So watch for the brides. If the brides are in town, the shows are open.
That's it.
And it's a Dutch organizer, I've been told.
It's a Dutch. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we do not know, but it's that's. So that's a big question. Any more questions, Ute, or is that the most important one? That's the one and only. Well, as we look at our nice slide, we're very decent again. Key Factor Trade Show. How to get back on the fast track? I mean, Germany is starting. I mean, yesterday the Dutch were saying, "Well, oh, there's a question. Questions from the audience, always more important." You're coming forward to me. Okay, let's keep the distance then. Yell it out.
So
No, don't come to.
So I would like to know from Mr. Passoter if you are in contact with your possible visitors and clients and what their opinion is. So you going to a show is step one, or the organizers organizing one is step one. You attending is step two, and step three. That is the key question. Are you in contact, and what is your opinion about that?
Yeah, that is one of the most important questions for us, but there are a lot of other questions about coming back to fairs. We do have just little feedback because the shows we are planning to attend are in autumn or later on, so nobody can see what will happen in October, November or December, but it's different. Some colleagues, for example, said, please make some shows. I want to go back. I want to meet people. And other colleagues said, if I don't have to do, I won't do because it's too critical for me, or I have little children, or my wife has disease, or whatever. There are good personal reasons for. And we have to handle all this personal circumstances. And that's one of our critical topics, how to get enough trust in our stand crew to go for 3 or 5 days to another town in hotel with with public transportation or whatever in a venue and stay there and come back to friends, family and whatever. And for a few colleagues, this risk is too high, and for another will say, okay, if it is allowed, if the organizer will handle that careful, and that's quite important. That's Barbara said it. That's crucial. That's really crucial that customers, visitors, and exhibitors and public in the end have the feeling that we will handle that really trustful, and they don't have to be any kind of accident in the next shows. And that's quite important.
Yeah,
so
I understand. But
don't speed up so much.
No.
So do it slowly and carefully, and we handle a lot of trust. That's quite important. And it's important for the brands like Deutsche Messe AG and whatever. That's really important that the public and visitors know that they use it trustful.
But what do they need in order to gain that trust?
Good examples. They need good examples. Look at South Korea. Kintex, a major venue in Seoul, has been running 4 shows, if I counted them right, over the last 4 to 5 weeks. And they've been very open about the measures they put in place and sharing very, very visibly how they ask the visitors to behave, and what the separation between the exhibitor and the visitor on the booth is, etc. So 5 weeks later, they've built a track record. They can say, we've done this show, this show, this show, this show. Not one incident, not one infected person anywhere. And they're improving from show to show and apply what they learn. Same in China. We've seen dozens of shows by now. Then there was the matter that the show took place in Chengdu, I think the first major Informer show again in China. And it looked just like a normal show floor. No masks, people fairly close to each other. And I got 2 or 3 calls from the US saying, how can they do that? They're risking everything. Because one infection, one mass outbreak from a trade show floor or from a presidential rally or from wherever can put us all back by 6 to 12 months. And then you have to explain the differences. In China, where every citizen has to carry an app on the smartphone that kind of already defines if you can travel to the destination where a show takes place. And then we're back at the different levels of measures and the local appliances. But essentially, the trust will come when you build it show by show, positive example by positive example. And we all have to be careful again and always again to make sure that every member of our global community, stand builder, organizer, venues, take this serious. We're all holding the future of our industry, the future of our jobs, the future of our livelihoods, the future of our customers in our hands. And if we go down as a sector, not only do we go down, but by the factor 10, 15, 20, the economies go down because of all the trade that doesn't happen.
Barbara, you had a remark.
I'd just like to add to the chain of the ecosystem you were describing. We also need to seamlessly take into account all the travel of our exhibitors and visitors. So this is why we should also team up with the travel and tourism-related businesses on the ground, even public transport to the venue and back, and how we handle even setup and dismantling, the logistics, and everything needs to be seamless, contactless, whatever. I mean, we all know that we're working on it, but all this, especially with the other industries that are the basis for traveling. Also, one new topic, there's huge discussions on if people book a trip and they have to cancel perhaps the show is cancelled or they are ill or whatever other reason, refunding. People will not travel as before. Insurance. There are a lot of topics that we need to address in order for us to be somehow operating in a viable way, but also all the industries which we depend on. We need to team up for all these issues that are coming up with the new travel conditions too.
Thank you.
Just let me add one thing.
Yes, of course, of
we
course.
have-
And
we
two, yeah, well, hey, interaction.
I just wanted to underline what Barbara said, because we have teamed up as AUMA very early with the tourism industry in Germany. Yeah, always mentioning that we are not really the tourism industry, but because we have the same direction. Yeah, we have the same targets. This has been very helpful because tourism is very important, and a lot of people have very emotional feelings about it. And this is also the one story you can tell towards politicians. And I guess this is very important, or was very important in the first stage, that you try to engage with the responsible people who make the decisions at the end. And just to have that in mind, I mean, there was not a legislative body. Yeah? In Germany, there was no parliament deciding if this is a mass gathering or not. It was a group of people, which was in a format which is not laid out in the constitution. Yeah? It's like an informal group of states and the chancellor, and they make like guidelines, and then they have been implemented by the federal states. So this is a totally different approach compared to the lobbying we would do in normal times, because then there is, parliament, then there is a committee or whatever. So this is also a totally different approach. And this is, I guess, why it's always very important to stress this ecosystem of exhibitions, because people are aware that there are a number of people involved, but they are not really aware of what is really the value chain. Yeah? And if you have done that, Andreas described this as well, if you have done that, then you have a really good point where you can start off and where you can try to make these different categories that you are not in the category with festivals, Oktoberfest and others. Yeah, and if you point out to the business aspect, yeah, then this makes also a different story with regard to what is very common in Germany. Yeah, the small and medium-sized companies. Yeah, because those are the companies calling me, actually demanding that they get back their platforms.
Andreas.
Yes, from my point of view, first of all, you're totally right. We have to be really serious on the measures. One black sheep among the herd destroys the whole business. Look what went on in the meat business. What happened in one plant destroyed the whole industry, destroyed the whole region. There's a ban for going to for vacation in that. And we have to really be serious about, because our influence is far bigger than just the one and only event which we are planning right now or doing right now. And I would like to come back, what is the next thing to do, and our task as an organizer, or all of us as a whole industry. Our PR, which we have to do right now, is different to what it was before. Before, maybe it was enough if we tell the story, trying to convince people coming to like the Hanover Messe. Exhibitor Weizsäcker is there. They show their nice and latest trends in these or that product. We have a forum, we have a seminar, etc., etc. Now, a visitor, a potential visitor, awaits way more. We have still to tell the story which I just mentioned, but additionally, we have to talk about the measures. We have to keep them on the safe side, that they are safe while being on exhibitions, like in Hanover. And we have to include the whole chain of transportation, otherwise they won't show up. So we have to include these elements as transportation, potentially quarantine or not, how safe is public transport, which chances do I have for these, or accommodation measures, etc., what's going to happen while entering the venue, etc., etc. We have to tell a totally different and way more complete story as it was before.
Yeah. And my question is, you say we have to tell, and we is we. Is we
is
you
we.
or we together?
Of course, all of us, the associations, they are doing really well. Doesn't matter on a national, European or worldwide level. Of course, we as organizer or venue, the exhibitors, I guess, will tell the same story, but all the service suppliers, you are in direct contact with the customers as well. We all have to tell the stories that technically it's feasible, it's manageable, being on exhibitions, not way different than being in a supermarket or in shops. And we have to convince them as well how much it's worth to be on an exhibition, because all of us, we need business, our exhibitors and visitors, and business needs face-to-face contacts in most cases.
So this is a task for us too. I mean, mostly we have booth builders here. Yep. So not only the nice concept and, oh gosh, you have a lot of conversion, but the whole story.
Yeah.
Actually tell the whole story. That's what I'm getting. I have lots of questions from the group. I had one here, but you were first. And by the way, thank you. You're warming up. Yes, Benedict, tell me, and I'll repeat. I very much agree, of course. He very much agrees. That's for home, yeah? With how important it is to say we must not have any incident that makes any event a black sheep. However, my sensitive question is, how are you preparing for the case that there might occur a black sheep? And maybe Hanover Messe becomes a black sheep. What are you now preparing to say this will be our response if, for whatever reason, we may not be always able to explain where it happened, how the virus got into this show and how it got spread, because we don't know yet everything we would like to know about the spreading. However, what are you doing now for the unlikely, hopefully unlikely event that something occurs? And who are you asking? Andreas.
Yeah, okay. Just from the organizer's point of view, our list of measures does not just include prevention. And one important element is the registration for all people on the venue, staff, service provider, catering, stand builder, exhibitor, visitor, etc. And the list of measures includes a very detailed plan how to deal if something's going to happen, because this is very essential for the authorities to get the allowance for doing exhibitions, etc. And if we behave properly, if somebody, let's say, is infected, how we deal immediately, just in case of, on the venue, but also as a follow-up to contact the people who have been close to that person or being on the venue for that day. So this is included in the, let's say, list of measures. And this is very essential because we cannot guarantee that nothing is going to happen. No supermarket, no do-it-yourself shop, no retail shop can guarantee this. Important is, and what's going to happen if? If I'm entering a plane, what's going to happen if? If I'm going to a shop, what's going to happen? When I'm in a restaurant, when I'm in a bar, I have to fill out a sheet of paper with my mobile number and my name, etc. That if my neighbor would be infected, they have to catch me, they call me and inform me. So just as an example, this is very important among this catalog of measures, not just prevention, but how to deal if something's going to happen. And we have to tell that part of the story as well.
We have many fingers, but yours was first, Jörn.
I mean, I just agree. Yeah, it's about building trust and about showing what is in place, how to deal with such a situation. And in general, as far as we all know, I guess the main point is that people were gathered very closely in indoor rooms where there was not very much air circulation. Yeah, so I guess from the venue point of view, there are a lot of aspects in place where the environment is better than compared to other venues. So this is, I would say, one big advantage. And then the rest Andreas described, I guess you can rely on the health authorities in Germany that if they approve an event, an exhibition, they really want to see in detail what's in place and how to deal with the situation. And I mean, what I wanted to mention as well is this is a situation we have never seen before, and it's very complex, and there is not only the answer or one answer. We have to talk about travel, we have to talk about an integrated approach, we have to talk about venues, health protection, we also have to talk about the companies, because they are also responsible for their employees, and how to give them, the arguments, the necessary information that we can go back to the world we have been before. Yeah, and this will be somehow maybe a longer way than we all expected, but I guess it's important to make this progress now and to show what we can do and to start, because it's like leading by example. If you see one thing going very well, then I guess it will attract others as well.
Yeah. Still enthusiastic?
Yep.
Okay.
That was part of the answer, as Benedict asked for. But another point is what will happen to the black sheeps within the exhibitor, for example. We have got a few thousand exhibitors on the trade fair, and we need really strong guidelines, and we have to stick to the guidelines. Yep. And if we are on a booth with 500 square meters on one of the shows, and we will stick to the guidelines and see another exhibitor in a hall doesn't stick and take out some personal advantages for that, then I really ask organizer or a different party to speak out penalties and correct the situation for that, and not how we set the guideline and then the rest is up to anybody else. That's really important.
True. Kai?
Well, which you can partly handle through the registration in the run-up and say every exhibitor can bring a certain number of registered persons. But essentially, and again, the trust will apply to the destination and to the whole chain of interconnected services and authorities. The trust will not lie with Deutsche Messe as the organizer alone. It will just as well lie with the trust in the local health authorities in Hanover, because they will be the ones doing the tracing and the tracking in case there is a case that needs to be tracked. They will rely on the local hotels. They will rely on the local taxi drivers, etc., etc., etc. Everybody doing their part. So we are the cause for the event with the trade show. but it's the whole ecosystem that has to come together to deliver. And those markets where there's a strong infrastructure and a strong ecosystem are the markets that will have the most trust.
Barbara.
I'd like to add to the trust and the confidence also the legal topics. I mean, the rules must be very, very clear and they must be implemented and enforced, as you were saying. Is there one exhibitor that doesn't stick to the rules and has a stand party, even though it's not allowed? We need to be very clear already in the general terms and conditions and the stand building, the stand contracts, etc. If you don't stick to the rules, you might be closed down or you go directly. This needs to... I mean, everyone is working on these things, but they need to be implemented very carefully. And I think if there is even a precedent, it could even help us build the trust, because we cannot tolerate any laissez-faire, even though perhaps we have UVC lamps and, you know, you can even get closer. I think in the very beginning, we need to be super strict. This is building the trust too. And our legal conditions need to be clear and need to be enforced.
Yeah.
By the way, we do have a temporary Corona hospital on our venue, but it shouldn't be an argument. Visit our shows because the hospital is just next hall.
No, because Andreas, the argument should be that next to the hospital you have many more square meters where there are business possibilities.
Yes.
I mean, this is the sausage you hang at the end of the tunnel. Like, this is where people are going to.
Yes.
And yes, the road is maybe a little bit more difficult. This is the way it is. But this should motivate people to stick to the rules. There is something at stake, because if they do not do that, if they get sloppy, yeah, they don't get the business in the end, because the thing will be shut down. And sometimes people need easy arguments like, do you want these possibilities? Yes, this is the way to do it. And then probably they're motivated more. Gosh, I like the audience. There's so many questions. You had a question, Torsten.
Actually, I have a few more questions.
A few more, but we don't have time for a few more. Only one, and short.
Well, give me two. So, number one, everyone is talking how to reopen shows. What is interesting for our industry, I believe, is also, you know, what will be the measurements for installation? Because
That's one question.
With a tight schedule that the venues usually have, you know, you have to expand that a little bit, because we have limited number of labor guys on the show floor. And the second part of...
We come back to the second question. First one answer, otherwise you get... So, we want more time because we need more time, and... does he get more time?
I'm here to answer questions, sorry, as long as you like. It's up to you, the moderator. But measures, first of all, it depends how we plan our shows. We have to plan it with wider aisles, maybe one direction ways, maybe two directions, different sides of the aisle, etc. We have to inform the exhibitors properly. They have to keep distance. If there are some places on the booth where there is a closer contact, closer than 1.5 meter, maybe there's a must to have a plastic screen in between, etc., as we know from shops. And we have to have some equipment, additional equipment in the entrance areas, but that's not the question maybe for the stand constructors. But we have, luckily in Hanover, enough space to have wider aisles, etc. So I guess that each and individual exhibitor, like Weidmüller, for example, they will reflect this while planning their booth.
But you want more time to build up?
But the question was the build-up time, because we have a limited number of labor, of course, to install the booth. So what is the answer of the venues?
That depends on the calendar. Yeah, that depends on the calendar, of course, and each and every venue, and the calendar regarding the specific halls. But on the other hand, if the aisles are wider, it's easier to get access to, maybe with cranes and trucks, if you are capable of driving directly into the car to equip. I do not think that the construction time will be way longer compared to what it was before, with Corona aspect in mind while constructing the booth. Or is your booth so different compared to how it was before? I guess not that different, maybe.
Honestly, I don't... You can hear me right now? Yeah. Honestly, I don't know about our concept for the next month, because I don't know the guidelines from the different venues, so I can't plan any concept. concept, and even that will be a problem for booth builders because the planning time will be shortened up. And then Thorsten, is right. The booth builders might need more time for that because there's no learning curve existing for this Corona-specific topics for booth building. And there are no specialists for that. And that needs more time, and there will be some complication point.
All right.
Very
Kai, quickly, and then I go back.
Very briefly, one suggestion. It's, I mean, as I've learned from Barbara, if you want an answer, bring an idea to the table. So if you want money from Brussels, don't go to Brussels and say, give me money, but say, if you do this and this and this, well, this will be good, and we know how to spend it, and then they see the reason for giving you money. So same thing. We see test installations, trial events, whatever you have, in various places in Europe. We are here today because we want to learn how you can operate an audience flow, etc. If you can come up with thoughts, models, ideas on what will be different in the build-up for a Corona fair compared to a pre-Corona fair, then we have a base for conversation, and of that you can do some modeling, and that will be of a lot of use to the organizers.
And one remark, are you talking to him as representing his company, or do you say to the whole group as IFES, like, come up with...
No, as he happens to sit next to Uta, and both were nodding, so that's fine. And I always look at the person asking me the question.
Okay. Quickly, and then I go, because I want to have as many questions.
As I said, it's also about partnering with different groups and organizations. And so Auma and Pharma partnered in working out a framework paper, how to deal with stand booths and building up in times of Corona or after Corona. And this now is the framework where all other venues are starting off and making their individual plans. And of course, this is probably not the final answer, but this is what I just said. It's work in progress, and it's a first step. Yeah, and it just took us 2.5 weeks to make that up. I mean, in normal times, it would have taken 2.5 months probably.
Yeah.
You know, the time it takes for all of us to answer these simple questions is also the time it takes for all of us to come up with standards right now. We've never been this fast. We've never been this fast to come up with ideas for solutions. And so just be part of that drive for solutions. We're all making it up as we go along to figure out what will be next. And the speed in which we are able to do this is probably fastest compared to many other industries in the events industry.
Okay, just for timing, I still have 10 minutes, so don't go too near. No. Oh, yeah, your family. Yeah, your family.
Though to the customer, the question to the customer, we know that your booths you will build in the future on trade shows need a lot of precautions. And do you always think about the budget you need to have for that?
It's going to cost you more money, or you take a smaller booth. I mean, what are you going to do?
Always think about budget. But we also think always
it's a real
about
customer.
But we also think about solutions. And we are convinced that fairs are a very efficient marketing tool. And I hope that will be stay in the future as well. And as long as it is efficient for us, we will join it. And in the end, it depends on how much we have to add on budget for these measures. And at the moment, I can't count that out because I can't know what are the guidelines and the concept will be. But at the moment, for us, it's clear that it will cause another cost. But all the other measures we did in the last months, on addition in our marketing mix, are also unplanned budgets. That's reality for all of us in the business right now.
He's nodding. He's satisfied with your answer already. Yeah. Thank you very much. And here we had, no second chance in the last minute. Ralph.
So I guess to shift it back to our industry, to develop all these measures is too easy because we have to do it together. And that is due to the federalism. It is more an issue of associations and with the politicians. It's not aiming some problem.
No, but is there a question or just a remark?
It's a remark.
It's a remark, okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yeah, there's a question from Poland.
Yeah, I have a question about employees, the stand builders, about rules on stand, because
and they come in by one, they sleep somewhere together. So what are the rules? Are you planning also the distance in the building time, in the
You mean the build-up teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have four guys in a van. They go to a trade show. Can they work together? Give something to each other? Very practical question.
The rules and the list of measures I mentioned, which we set up and which the local authority seems to allow doing events, does include also the construction period. So we have detailed rules for all of you during the construction phase as well, like keeping distance or wearing a mask. If you can't keep the distance, like minimum 1.5 meter, there's a need for pre-registration, etc. So we have these bundle of measures, but the problem might be coming to several questions here in the room. Before in Germany, we had the excellent situation that there was a clear, let's say, exchange of ideas for the technical experts at the different venues. So the technical guidelines in the German venues have been all the same. So it wasn't a difference for you as a stand constructor to do a booth in Hanover or Nuremberg or Stuttgart or Cologne. Now, due to the individual regional measures, you have to care about where you are doing the booth, and that makes difference. So it's more complicated, sorry to say, on your side, to learn about the different rules and to adopt to these, because the local rules are different, that's for sure.
Just maybe one remark to that. I mean, I can't make any promises, and I know federalism has two sides of the coin, yeah. But for me, in the first place, is let's start the shows again. Yeah. If you have a deeper look into the regulations now released by the different states, you will see that there are a lot of things in common. And to be honest, also with other regulations, even before Corona, you had differences between Bavaria and Schleswig-Holstein, yeah. So somehow we have to deal with that. I really hope, and I think this shows in other areas of policies, over the time, yeah, you will see that the states will come closer together. Yeah, we have seen in North Rhine-Westphalia there was this 10 square meters per person. Then there was a new version of the Corona protection regulation. Then was 7. Yeah, and so you see the development, and it reflects also the situation on the ground. You know. Probably people in North Rhine-Westphalia are more cautious at the moment just because something is developed. But this also has a positive side. If there is just a central rule and you have one hotspot somewhere, why should a city in the north and the south adapt to that specific situation? So that's the situation, but I guess it's also a situation for other industries and branches. So I guess it's just about being in dialogue, yeah, communicate with each other, and then make the best out of it. Maybe it takes 1 or 2 conference calls or Zoom meetings more, but at the end, I strongly believe that people are very creative and very solution-orientated to make things happen.
I'm looking into the public, and that is the last question, because we have still some other things to do. Oh, no, but first, the gentleman from the for the. Yes. Members first, Uta. Members first, always. Sorry.
How likely is it that shows are being cancelled due to economical reasons? Not the virus, but the economical side, meaning no travel, less exhibitors, less visitors.
Was the question clear? How?
Easy, most likely. That's the
most
main
likely?
reason. That's the main reason, because now we have the list of measures, so we would be allowed to do exhibitions, but the question is, are exhibitors convinced that there's a minimum number and quality of visitors? So is it worth to be as an exhibitor on an event? And if you have enough exhibitors who are convinced that they might get enough visitors, then there's the basis to do an exhibition. But if not, then if you lose too many exhibitors who'd like to cancel or not even applying, because they are afraid about this mechanism, then at least maybe you have to cancel an event or you have to postpone. And that's what happened, for example, for us in Hanover for the IAA truck show. It was canceled this September, not due to technical reason, but because exhibitors have been too afraid about the visitorship. So the Eurotier in November, it was postponed just recently to the February next year because there's a higher chance of attracting enough visitors. So this is the most important question right now. What is about the economic background? Is there enough confidence, enough visitorship everybody's expecting? Then the trust of exhibitors in such an event, and that is the basis for an organizer to say yes or no.
Any outlook? If you have any outlook.
Outlook, I can point towards the calendar. We canceled the IA Truck Show. We are fighting for the Euroblech in October. We are most likely, let's say, proposing this event is going to happen. Eurotier postponed to February, and we are planning mid-January the Domotex. That's the actual situation right now for the bigger events in Hanover.
And I would say, if you have clients there, say that they have to go and say that it's also their responsibility to attract visitors, because most of the time it's put on the plate of the organizer. They say, well, I'm here. Oh yeah, you didn't do a good job. I hear that around the world. This is an old discussion. We could fill 2 hours on that subject. Let's not do that. Uta, you had the final question. Then we have other things to do because we're rounding up because the AGM is starting. But you have a question or you're going to do something? No, No, you don't get the microphone.
Okay. Keep the distance, huh? Well, it was not my impoliteness that I left the audience for quite a few moments. Our Zoom was hacked. And we had a sidekick. We have several WhatsApp groups and however you, Signal and Threema and however they are all called. And what I got back there is we want to attend live meetings. And this is what we learned right now. Although we had several security checks in and we decided how to do it, you're never really secure whom you're going to trust when they are entering your online meeting. You can't email a handshake and you can't send a hug. You have to see people, you have to meet them, you have to build up the trust, and this is what trade shows are key for.
Amen, amen. Well, I'm going to round off this panel discussion, but you have things now. Now's the other thing. Oh yeah, sorry, we do this first. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Jörg. We're in Germany.
In Germany, in
and
Hattendorf.
we have our AGM, and it should have been in Amsterdam. But you know what happened?
Don't judge it. Whether this is
no. And one thing happened, and I'll play you this song. Can't touch this.
You can't do that. Can't touch this.
I mean, can't touch this. This is what happening. This is COVID-19, and we're so happy to be here because you came up with a solution, which is all COVID-proof, and we're going to show it to you. And later on, we'll have our AGM here. So follow us. First thing we do, of course, is someone have fever scan. Bitte lassen Sie Ihre Körpertemperatur scannen. Please measure your body temperature. Do something like this.
Yeah, and it comes.
And this is green.
Green.
I'm okay. Are you okay?
I'm not sure, so I'll try.
Yes, made it. He's good too. So we continue.
We get our tickets right here. Either you have them already in your pocket, or if not, you pick it up right here. It's RFID tickets without any contact whatsoever. You just check in right here.
And then we're too close.
We're too close.
All buzzers go off.
Exactly.
Interesting. So let's move on. Come on. We're being counted. Clear entrance in, clear entrance, clear exit. And here you see, of course,
the girls are already
so we see how it's done right, like this, and oh gosh, shame on you. It'll be okay. They're living in one household. They came in one car. Just explain to me, just give us a quick round with the camera. What do we see here and how did you come up with this idea?
We came up with this idea to reflect all the situations you are well known of, like, you know, keynote speeches and all that stuff, and melting physical and digital elements together to create the most effect out of that.
Now, and I'll come in there, there's a little trick here, because once you have people present here, we have like 40 chairs here, you see all the measurements and stuff, everybody's in the safe distance, but you want to have more people, and we know all the programs, Zoom and stuff like that, and actually you can project people who are in the Zoom session, and once you're explaining something here, they can come on and ask that question. So everybody's here, and you really involve people. So that's a very good thing. And there, of course, we have our main stage. And there you see, well, in this setup, we have 4 chairs where we have a panel of 4. We have the moderator who has its place over here. And of course, when you just turn around 180 degrees, there you see his big screen where he has his Zoom features and stuff like that, so he knows what's going on and how we can communicate. This is about it, and it looks great.
Basically, because it brings people together, it doesn't matter physical and digital, so that is enriching the audience, basically. That's the basic thing we want to try to achieve. Bringing the community back together digitally as well as physically.
Yes, and in the end of the day, we want to go back to trade shows, to be honest.
Absolutely.
But this is the way it will be interconnected, so hybrid will probably be a big part and big chunk of our future.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Cut it. Cut it. Thanks to Jörg, there he is. Thank you very much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me and joining in the crew. It was quite interactive, and we ate up all of the time. I'm handing over the microphone for other festivities. By the way, we see each other back after the break, the ice break.
So, this is